About 10 years ago, I had a coach. A lot of my friends were being coached with this guy, and he's a cool guy. I learned a lot. But he wrote this book on the power, I think it was called The Power of Identity. And it's all about defining who you are and not letting down, like building this persona and sticking to it. And I read it and I went that way. And I think that's kind of the way that the Matrix takes us, right? Is to identify with ourselves, like who we are and what we. The problem is that that's not who you are. Identity is objectification of yourself. And what that means is that you're identifying with and becoming attached to a persona, a personality. So we're trained to believe personalities are good. And, that's all over Facebook, Instagram, like, I am this. But that's why you're exhausted, because you put up this identity and then you try to live up to it. And who you are is so much greater than anything you could ever even imagine. So whatever you put after the words I am is false. Doesn't matter if I'm a million follower Instagrammer or I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. Like anything that comes after the words I am is false because of how great you actually are. And I know what this might sound like, but it's been hidden from us, guys. We do not know who we really are at our core, what we really are. And it has been purposefully hidden from us. The biggest lie ever promulgated on mankind is that we're separate from source. That is the biggest lie. That is the lie that's caused the most suffering. And when you turn inwards and know thyself for what you truly are, you realize that you can't even put it into words. Anything that you say about who you are is blasphemy compared to the truth. So that's why we get sick, and that is the social design started in America to make people have identification and believe in like who they are, and that's why they have to justify everything they do. It's all ego mind complex. And it makes you sick. If you truly look at it and you feel it, you'll realize. Like turn on Instagram. And even if you see things that you like, if you really are aware, it all starts with awareness, you'll find out that your energy drops. Or you feel a little bit more shitty, a little bit like, like you feel this little like darkness, like this, like this gross filmy thing that like comes into your world when you turn on your social media. And so, I mean, it's because everyone is living a lie. And it's so tempting just to jump into that and put all these labels after your name. I'm a GCRI, 2-time MDA, blah, like what the hell, man? You can't define yourself. That just means you don't know yourself. And so I challenge you to know thyself and to know the truth. And the only way to do that is to inquire within. And like I said in the last video, you have to turn inward. You don't have to. But really what happens is you do this external search, blah, blah, blah. You're chasing the carrot stick. Make $1 million. I'm going to get the dream wife, the dream house, the dream car, all those things. And it's fun for a while. And like I said, keep doing that stuff. It's fine. But if you don't take the time to know yourself, you're never going to realize that everything external isn't going to bring it to you. It's not going to bring you happiness. It's all fleeting. It's all the Maya. It's all illusion. Inside of us, we are programmed to turn external. That's why these eyes work really well and the inner eye doesn't work very well, right? Like when you build that up and you remember what you've always known, which has been hidden from you, then you can find out your true strengths and life unfolds for you. It's the Wu Wei. It's like the Taoists speak of the middle way. And it takes time and it takes a lot of undoing, and it is not a process of adding. any spiritual path has you adding techniques, and it's complicated because you need some pointers to get there, but ultimately it is a deconstruction of all of the concepts and ideals and programs that have been put on us that have us completely trapped. And that's why, if you're honest, no matter how successful you are, you feel that thing inside you where you're just like, yeah, something's wrong. Everybody's suffering. Buddha says it in the Four Noble Truths that life is suffering, and suffering is caused by desire. And I don't, that's a whole video in itself. But the external search is what's killing you. Take the time to turn inward, take the time to know thyself, and it starts to open up for you, and the external starts to fall into place just like nature does. Imagine that. Like, trees don't have egos. They just grow. Like, they just do it perfectly. And it's perfect. And they don't have to do anything. And believe it or not, that's what we can do with our lives as well. And it is a process, and I have not arrived. And even if I had, I would never say that I have. But it's the only pursuit, it's the only goal worth living, is the knowledge of the pursuit of truth. One master said that the desire for truth is the highest desire, but it's still a desire, right? So when you look for the truth of who you are, and you can look for the truth in things like what's going on in the world. I mean, that's a big rabbit hole. Maybe you go check it out for a while just to learn that, okay, things are messed up, there's something going on. But really the truth is the inward journey of yourself. It's self-truth. And that starts with awareness. And that starts with like truly acknowledging the shit that you believe is fucking you up. Like, you believe you have to have this, you have to have that. I've been living abroad for a little over a year. And I went back into Florida. And right when I got into the airport, I could just feel this heaviness, this heavy energy. And I've been working on my awareness for a long time, so I can sense that, but I think you guys can too. Like, you could feel this heaviness in the air of like, there's something's wrong here, man. There's a lie that people are living. And it's so deeply embedded in us. From the time we grow up, they get you, like when you're a kid, they start programming you. Got one more story, then I'll end this video, but I saw this little girl. I was at the coffee shop the other day. This little girl, she was probably 4 years old. She was dressed up in this dress, and I don't know, maybe she was going to church. Her parents were sitting right over here, and she was standing in front of this big mirror. And I was in the mirror too, but she did not see me. She's just seeing herself. And so she's looking at herself. She's like turning sideways. And she kind of looks at her butt, and then she kind of looks at her face, and she starts making these faces, like these cute picture faces. And then right before she left the mirror, she just looked at herself, and she's like she didn't like herself, and she walked off. And I'm like, oh no, stop. She's developing self-consciousness, which is like, this whole self-conscious thing is like, that's the lie, guys. That's the false self. It's not who you are. And that's where the pain and the suffering comes from. So search for inner truth, and you'll start to feel these things come off of you, and you'll start to feel lighter, and you'll start to feel more vitality in your life. Your prana will start to flow more freely, and all those things, and it gets better and better. All right, I'm off to Spanish school.